We are joined now with Vicki McKenna for CultureCast. Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
So we've got a litany of cackling women that we want to talk about today, vis-a-vis the Roe versus Wade gutting that took place at the Supreme Court a couple weeks ago. So let's get right to this. Start with our so-called Vice President of the United States. Besides the fact that she sounds like a tipsy sorority girl, listen to this little bit of word salad.
And when we think about it, everyone has something at risk on this. First of all, if you are a parent of sons, do think about what this means for the life of your son and what that will mean in terms of the choices he will have.
Yeah, so your son won't be able to sleep around promiscuously without responsibility. This is, and I love
a tragedy.
I love what everything she says. It's like she's just made the best point in the world with that look in her eye, and it's just complete stupid.
She has a habit of doing things like saying, right, like, assuming the agreement. But what an absurd statement to say, you better worry about your sons. Because the subtext is, you better worry about your sons because they're not going to be able to sleep around indiscriminately and, potentially get women pregnant. Oh, I mean, please, everyone clutch the pearls. Where's the fainting chair? Your sons aren't going to be able to act like whores. Holy cow. Somebody has to call the police and get something done about this.
Is it my imagination, or is that attitude that we just heard from her actually encouraging toxic masculinity?
Well, 100%. The only, men, the tax on men or using men as tools, it all depends on what the use value at the particular moment is. So in that particular moment, her essentially using men as tools and toxic masculinity as a tool was what she needed. And so that's what she does. Listen, there's no principle that the left adheres to. There isn't some sort of, set of rules or norms or ethics. It's just whatever happens to work at the moment. That is why they lie. That is why there is no logical consistency. And that is why they will just be rank hypocrites.
Speaking of that, let's take a look at this tweet that we have from Vice President Harris. Quote, I know there are women out there who are afraid. To those of you who feel alone and scared, I want you to know the president and I are fighting for you and your rights. We are in this fight together. What kind of a corner mate would you like to have in a boxing match with Kamala? I mean, all the responsibility.
I'll tell you what. If I had to pick, I'll take Lila Rose in a boxing match next to me every single day over Kamala Harris. But I mean, what a silly thing. We're here for you. So blow him a call. Pick up the phone and say, Kamala, I need your help. I got an unplanned pregnancy. Not sure what I'm going to do here. What would you advise? I mean, this is the most idiotic thing ever. We're here for you. We care a lot. And these are the same people who are claiming that because the states now are going to regulate abortion, that's what the Dobbs decision did. And that's what the repeal of Roe versus Wade did. It simply delivered the decision about abortion and limits on abortion to the states. So to act like this is that this makes abortion illegal is so dishonest. It's so typical of the left. But I mean, you've got people like Joy Reid and Kamala Harris telegraphing that women are now property. In fact, Joy Reid overtly said it. 50% of now women who live in red states are property of the Republican Party. What? So we're slaves. Suddenly delivering democracy, another task to regulate abortion means we're all slaves. I don't get it, but then again, it isn't supposed to make sense.
And with all due respect, what does the Republican Party have to do with this? I mean, that's the other thing.
It was the Supreme Court.
Exactly. But let me go one step further from the clueless to the bitchy. And we would be remiss not to have a conversation about the over-the-top cluelessness and anger, the rage issues of Elizabeth Warren. We have this from Twitter. I just spoke with @eWarren, who suggested the Biden administration establish Planned Parenthood outposts on the edges of national parks. They could put up tents, they could have trained personnel, and be there to help the people who need it. It's time to declare a medical emergency. I didn't know. Did you know that when Teddy Roosevelt founded these national park system back then, he was really setting up a triage area for abortions down the road?
Well, I tell you what, when I finally get to take my trip to Yellowstone, I'm going to be so psyched to be rolling in there and see all those pink Planned Parenthood tents, because that's why I want to go to a national park. I think I'm not exactly sure where they're going to be putting it. I mean, maybe somewhere in the middle of the Badlands. What do you think? Somewhere near the top of Mount Zion? I don't know. Right by the delicate arch at Arches National Park. Something, Duke. I mean, I'm sure we can accommodate this, but what an absurdity. The left simply knows they don't have an argument. They don't have an argument. What's your argument? We don't need an argument. We're just going to try to figure out workaround solutions to the United States Supreme Court. And if this doesn't work, she's planning as well on introducing a piece of legislation that would shut down crisis pregnancy centers. So that would just be taking away a resource for women who are terrified, want some help with an unplanned pregnancy. And these are the same people who, want to pack the Supreme Court, want to take another whack at Roe versus Wade and see if they can't reestablish it. And are looking for ways to simply circumvent the law and ignore it entirely. And if that doesn't work, then they say the Supreme Court itself is illegitimate and we should get rid of the court as an institution entirely.
Yeah,
that's how radical they are about the blood sacrament of abortion.
Yeah, that's a good point you made. Not only are they trying to reinstate abortion and nationalize it and push it through 9 complete months, they're actually seeking to destroy any kind of an organization or clinic that tries to actually help women with crisis pregnancies.
And think about these crisis pregnancy centers. By the way, when Elizabeth Warren announced that she intended to sponsor that legislation, I looked up 4 crisis pregnancy centers in southern Wisconsin and decided to make a $100 donation to all of them. What do? They counsel terrified women. They help them get ultrasounds, pregnancy tests, prenatal vitamins, diapers, baby formula, access to other clinics, signing up for Medicaid, WIC benefits. What horrible people at those crisis pregnancy centers who, have a biblical view of marriage and of childbirth. What horrible people that they would actually help terrified women find resources so that they could manage their unplanned pregnancies better and more comfortably and safer for the baby. Oh my goodness. Again, clutch the pearls.
After the break, more cackles and more cankles coming right up. All right, back with Vicki McKenna for part 2 of our Culture Cast. Let's keep the ball rolling here. Let's go from one lunatic to another. Take a look at Mad Max herself.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Women are going to control their bodies no matter how they try and stop us. The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
When things don't go your way, you call the institution illegitimate. When things go your way, it's marvelous, right? But when things don't go your way, the institution itself is illegitimate. And of course, it's all part of this whole idea that the Democrats have, that they think they can convince everyone that anyone who disagrees with them is committing an act of insurrection or sedition or some such thing. But Maxine Waters is essentially saying we don't really care what the rule of law is. We don't really care what the co-equal judicial branch has to say. We're going to ignore them because we don't like the decision, and that's not American.
Keith Olbermann said, go ahead, Supreme Court. You don't have an army. Go ahead and make us obey. Take a look at, speaking of people who are completely out of their minds. We've got, of course, Hillary herself. Watch the video.
Justice Thomas has sort of floated that out there about contraceptive rights, and contraception, and about same-sex marriages. But other justices have pushed back to say, no, he's really sort of on his own with that.
Well,
don't believe that?
Well, he may be on his own, but he's signaling, as he often did. I went to law school with him. Mm-hmm. He's been a person of grievance for as long as I've known him. Resentment, grievance, anger. And he has signaled in the past to lower courts, to state legislatures, find cases, pass laws, get them up. I may not win the first, the second, or the third time, but we're going to keep at it.
So you're saying people pay attention to
this?
Yes,
the people he is speaking to, which are the, right-wing, very conservative judges and justices and state legislatures. And the thing that there's so many things about it that are deeply distressing, but women are going to die, Gail. Women will die.
Hillary plays the angry black guy racist card. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah. So apparently she believes Clarence Thomas is an angry black guy.
Always has been.
Isn't it? But basically, what she's saying is he's an angry white guy. Because, of course, anyone who disagrees with the progressive left has to necessarily be, by definition, racist. What I thought was the most interesting is she's claiming she knows him. My bet is that she doesn't know the guy from a hand towel. She doesn't know the guy from a bar of soap. So I think she's projecting pretty aggressively onto Clarence Thomas. But it's this contention that women are going to die. How are women going to die? I mean, someone explain this to me. Women have died in abortion clinics. Not that Hillary Clinton cares about that, as she was lying about safe, legal, and rare. Everybody ignored the Kermit Gosnell story. Many people died. There have been many, many people dying in the act of attempting to abort their children. And let's not forget 65 million babies are dead. That's 10.5 New York City populations just simply wiped off the planet. And she's claiming that women are going to die because they're going to have children. Children are not going to kill those women. The act of late-term abortion, which Hillary Clinton supports, could potentially kill those women. Again, Kermit Gosnell, look him up. But she's out there suggesting that somehow we are in a medieval medical period where we don't have sterilized instruments to make sure women can safely deliver their babies. There are no such thing as nurses or OBGYNs or midwives or anyone who practices modern medicine. What an absurd declaration. And then notice that, was that Joy Reid she was talking to? Just I don't know who it was, but nodding her head, yes, women are going to die.
Isn't it true, Vicki, that in every other area of life, angry, rage-filled black people, young men, is considered to be a good thing? You know what I mean, right? Except like you said, unless it's Clarence Thomas, who's really a white guy, not a black guy.
Exactly.
Rounded out with Whoopi Goldberg, who's completely unhinged herself.
I don't want anybody coming in my house telling me how to raise my daughter and what she needs, because they don't know. I appreciate everybody's religion, but I do not subscribe to your religion. I don't ask you to subscribe to mine, and you do not have the right, based on your religious beliefs, to tell me, because what's next, as Clarence Thomas is signaling, they would like to get rid of contraception. Do you understand, sir? No, because you don't have to use it.
But that's crazy.
They don't have to use it.
Everything's
on the menu now. Contraception's on the menu. Gay marriage is now probably going to be overturned. Affirmative action is
we
no
were
more.
not in the Constitution either.
Well,
we were not even people
he is
in
saying
the Constitution.
nothing is precedent anymore.
Well, you better hope that they don't come for you, Clarence, and say you should not be married to your wife who happens to be white, because they will move that. And you better hope that nobody says, well, you're not in the Constitution, you're back to being a quarter of a person.
We're back to the 50s.
Because that's not going to work either.
There is, to say, how dare you tell me what to do with my body? Vaccine mandate, anybody? How dare you tell me what to do? I should be allowed to kill another human being because it's my body, my choice. And that's what they actually can't really defend very well. It really is hard to make a moral and legal and constitutional argument that can support the statement, I am allowed to kill someone else because my body, my choice. Because if that is in fact true, then we don't need laws about self-defense. We can just kill anybody who is somehow putting you or your livelihood or your success at risk. And I'm pretty sure the left doesn't want to make that argument. So let's just scare the crap out of people instead.